Hey, you there watching this video. Maybe you've been riding bikes for a while and you're keen to dive into that extremely exciting arena of track riding. Or maybe you've been racing bikes for a while and you want to get a little more serious about it. Or maybe you're a multiple-time Grand Prix world champion just trying to stay sharp. If you're one of these three or anything in between, chances are you could probably learn a thing or two from riding one of these. This is an Ohvale. If you are a keen follower of motorsport on two wheels, then you know that everyone from up-and-coming preteen racers to Valentino Rossi himself trains on one of these. Today, it's me riding it, but in a couple of months' time, it could be you.
And that's because 2022 will see the inaugural running of the FIM Mini GP India series. This is an FIM-sanctioned racing league that will take place in India for the first time at go-karting tracks over 5 rounds this year. The top 2 finishers at the end of the series will be flown to Valencia to compete in the world final against top finishers from other countries around the world. And this will take place on the eve of the MotoGP season finale weekend. The selection round is scheduled for the 9th of July and is open to all riders aged 10 to 14 with no restrictions. Now, if you're above 14 years old and you're bummed about not being able to ride one of these, you don't need to be, because the entire Ohvale lineup is now on sale in India, meaning that anyone can buy one. Mind you, it won't come cheap though. These are hand-built Italian race bikes after all. The lineup in India starts at 7 lakh rupees for the GP-0 110cc automatic and goes all the way up to 11 lakh rupees for the 190cc 4-speed GP2, which rolls on larger 12-inch wheels. Oh, and that's before you add 28% GST. The bike you see here is the GP-0 160, which will cost you 8.2 lakh rupees before GST and upwards of 10.5 lakh rupees by the time it reaches you. The little silver lining here is that you don't need to worry about registration or insurance charges, since these bikes aren't street legal.
In a country where almost everything is judged from displacement figures and fuel efficiency, there is no denying that the Ohvales are an expensive proposition. Now, a large part of that is down to our import duties, but even without those, the Ohvale lineup starts from upwards of 4,000 euro or 3 lakh rupees in its homeland. Once you get up close though, you see exactly why that is. It might be small, but everything on this bike is exquisite. Right from the materials used to the build quality and finish levels and the spec of the hardware, everything is absolutely top-notch.
The bike we're riding today is the GP-0 160, which means it's rolling on 10-inch wheels and powered by a 160cc oil-cooled engine mated to a 4-speed gearbox. Output is around 15 horsepower, which doesn't sound like much, until you see that this bike only weighs 65 kilos in running order. That lightness isn't purely down to size either. The bike is dripping with exquisite CNC machined titanium components, and the underpinnings are all of a very high specification and quality as well. And the front brake caliper is even a 4-piston monoblock unit. So it may be small, but the hardware you see here is the sort you'll find only at the sharper end of the big bike pyramid. First up, the obvious question: will you fit on it? Well, the short answer is yes. Obviously, space is at a premium, but the actual rider's triangle is surprisingly roomy, and you have more space than you'd think. No doubt, taller riders will feel a little cramped in the leg region, but ergonomics are adjustable, the rear sets and the clip-ons can be moved. And if Valentino Rossi can contort his near 6-foot frame onto this bike, you will probably manage as well. Besides, it's not the sort of thing you're going to be spending long hours on. These bikes aren't street legal, so usage will be limited to short stints at go-kart tracks.
Obviously, it rolls on 10-inch wheels, so the handling characteristics and behavior are considerably different to a full-size motorcycle. The way this thing tips into corners and can be flicked around is unlike anything else. But that's not to say that riding this can't teach you how to ride a full-size motorcycle. Quite the opposite, in fact. I think if you can learn to be fast on this, you can be fast on pretty much anything.
Until you recalibrate your inputs to account for this lightness and reactivity, the bike can feel a bit twitchy and unstable. But that's part of what makes these bikes such fantastic training tools. The wiggles and wobbles that you'll experience in your initial laps aren't down to an inherent instability of the bike, it's simply the motorcycle highlighting and magnifying your poor inputs as a rider.
Because it's so sharp and so light, it's extremely sensitive to everything that you do as a rider, which means it will punish all your bad riding habits and reward all your good ones. Shift your weight around just a little too aggressively and you will unsettle the bike. any unnecessary force through the handlebars and the bike will not do what you want it to. All these are byproducts of riding a purpose-built super sharp race bike that's lighter than you are. Heck, it's even lighter than me in my riding gear.
Start applying the correct riding techniques, use your legs to grip the bike, use your core strength to support your upper body, etc., and you'll have a massive grin on your face as you effortlessly enjoy the razor-sharp handling and the tremendous grip offered from the sticky, bespoke PMT slicks.
Really, the only way to get a quick lap time on this bike is to be smooth, precise, and basically textbook with your riding style. Once you learn how to do that and be fast on this machine, I have no doubt that you can transfer that technique over to a full-size motorcycle and learn how to be fast there as well.
Whether you're just starting out with track riding or a master of the craft, there's always a big chunk of learning and a great deal of enjoyment on offer aboard one of these pocket rockets. Now, the rocket part of that tag might seem a little far-fetched to you, considering the displacement and horsepower levels. But to be honest, it feels more than adequate and you're rarely left wanting more power in the tight and twisty confines of a go-karting track. All the controls feel exactly as you'd expect from a race bike. There's barely any play to speak of in the throttle, and once you twist it, response is super crisp and fueling from the Delorto carburetor is absolutely spot on. If you're foolish enough to treat this bike like some sort of toy, having a high side crash is a distinct possibility. But learn to be smooth with it and you'll appreciate the chunky power delivery and the meaty spread of drive across the rev range. You can even get away with being a gear too high sometimes. When you do shift, you'll find the gearbox to be super precise, and the all-down shift pattern is exactly what a modern-day MotoGP bike uses, just 2 gears less. The braking setup is equally excellent, bite and modulation are available in spades, giving you the confidence and precision you need to start trail braking all the way to the apex of those tight corners.
All said and done, this Italian brand is offering something truly new and one of a kind. If you are looking to buy one of these for yourself, you're getting a true blue race bike that can be used at a greater number of tracks than a full-size bike at a fraction of the risk that still gives you tremendous learnings, but it will cost you. If you are an up-and-coming racer though, that cost factor is nearly eliminated because if you are good enough to qualify for the Indian Mini GP series, you will have to pay no registration fees and you'll be provided with a bike, riding gear and accommodation for all race weekends. Sun's coming. Chal, you're rolling. What was the first line? एक second, there's an ant over here. But I have to start talking looking at you ना, ऐसे थोड़ी start कर सकता हूँ. You're in the shade and I'm in the sun.